sure. There we go. All right, so we live. I'm on the wrong. Oh, that's not mine. I was like, that's not my stuff. Facebook. Okay. Gotta get back in. Ooh. Gotta remember my password. Oh, that's my password. All right. Good evening, Natalie.
Hey, Natalie.
That's Natalie Willis.
Good
evening, good evening. Aisha, I get it. I think I got it right this time. Hey, Aisha, how you doing? Monica, how's it going, lady? Just giving a few more people time to come on. I'm going to share it real quick. And then we're going to get started. I'm sitting here sweating. Share it to my favorite girls page. How y'all doing today? Thank you. I got it right this time. I pronounced it wrong the last time. Y'all do me a favor while you're coming on. If you will go ahead and share the page. Share it with somebody else. Tell them to get on.
Yes, let's do that.
Real quick. Time to get on. Hey, Sterling. I might need to go get my glasses so I can see better.
I give you mine. Mine is not for seeing close up or far away.
Oh, no, that's all right. I got my iPad in my hand, so that'll be a little bit better. Every now and then, my eyes.
Why is it showing you moving, but it is not showing me moving?
It is. It's showing you.
It's just delayed.
Yeah, it's delayed just a few minutes.
Okay.
Hey, Lisa. That's Lisa. That's your sister, Lisa.
Hey, Lisa Turner.
Yeah. I got this bright light on.
That is my sister for sure.
Sister. Hey, live. All right, y'all. We're going to go ahead and get started.
Let's get this started.
Tonight, I have the honor and the privilege. Hey, Bernita. Have the honor and the privilege of having my sister, my friend, Dr. Marcella Torres.
Did she go there?
She did. She went all the way there.
She did.
And y'all know normally I bring them in, but Marcella did me the pleasure of coming to where I am.
Yes.
So we won't have any technical difficulties with this tonight. Praise God.
Because I'm not that tech. I'm not that techy. I love technology, but I am not the tech.
So we're actually doing it from where we are. So thank you all so much for joining us on tonight. As you all know, maybe you don't, but this is the My Favorite Girls Facebook Live, and I come on every Thursday evening. We are on just talking about caregivers. You all know that I care for my grandmother and my mother, and so with that, given the mandate to just make ministry out of moments, and that's what we're doing. We're educating as many people as we can regarding it. And this month, for the month of January, I just decided to do a caregivers series. And it's just simply caregiving. This is my story. And it's not just for those with Alzheimer's and dementia. Want to make that very clear. So bringing on different ones just to share their story, share their caregiving story. And so tonight, we have Dr. Marcella Torres on, and I'm going to break off for a minute. Just let Marcella tell you a little bit about herself, and then we'll move on from there.
Hey, my name is Dr. Marcella Torres, and I had the distinct honor and privilege, and I say a privilege because most of the time when you're thick in it, you don't see it as a privilege. But my mother raised me extremely well. So I was honored enough to be able to invite her into my home and to take care of her for the last 15 years of her life. And what I said to her, those 15 years was going to be the best years of her life, because all of mine was processed. She developed a wound on her left foot that did not really caused her leg to be amputated. And so there I had to deal with an elderly parent with an amputated leg. In my particular place of being a caregiver, I had a mother who was very energetic and she was extremely independent. So what would have taken some, I would say, a long time to get back on their feet and get going. My mom got a prosthetic and she was walking in less than 60 days. And so in that, she began to, attend and manage some of the areas that she would normally manage. Taking into effect with what I just gave you, she was also blind. But you couldn't tell it, but she was blind. And so therefore we had to do things a little bit differently. So that's a little bit of my story in the sense of that was 15 years for me.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember the sore on her foot. And I brought Marcella on because, like I told her before we came on, Marcella was a pure example to me of just the love that a daughter has, even in taking care of her mom. I remember going over and packing the foot. I was like, oh my gosh, but I remember the hold and you have to pack it and do all that. And that right there, a lot of times people don't look at that. I was reading one of the articles. I'm just going to read a little bit of it. It says caregivers make tremendous personal sacrifice. They have to fight for time alone, downtime, peace, and a sense of self, and the emotional and psychological roller coaster that comes along with that
Very much so.
Quite difficult. And so that's what we're going to kind of deal with tonight, just the whole sacrifice in caregiving. Everybody doesn't look at, like Marcella said, the last 15 years of mother's life, she was going to make sure it was the best 15 years. And that's very important because people don't really consider that. It's just like, I don't know. I mean,
you hear people say, once an adult, but twice a child. And so when I think about it, even in the village of being a caregiver to someone who was an adult, and now as their health and everything is diminishing, they're needing more assistance, kind of like a child. My mama always reminded me, like, I still have my mind, I still have my faculties. I don't want to be a burden to anybody. And I said, Mom, it's not a burden. It's a privilege and an opportunity for me because you gave me the best of the best. And I want to ensure whether or not these are my last days or your last days, they're going to be the best days. And so in that, when you talk about the psychological piece of what happens, I don't know, but it's something to watch your parent who has had a very intricate part of your life to see their health or even their mental capacity or certain thing diminish in front of you. It plays a game with the mind. And I know, for my mom, there were several different things that we used to do to keep her alert, to keep her vibrant, and keep everything going. Tip number one that I would give to individuals, you got to get them involved in some activities. You got to get them to a place that they will meet and greet and make new friends, and that their friends become a part of their community and not just your friends and those who come over.
Yeah. And that's very important. I mean, because I have two. And I say that a lot, like twice a child. Like this week, if some of you saw my post, this probably was, I'm not going to say the roughest week, but it was different. And I don't call it rough. I just say it was different. It was a different type of week because that was the first time I ever experienced the 24-hour not sleeping, like literally walking all over the house. And the thing about it is you end up being up, especially if you're the only one that's doing it. You are up. You're in it. You're like, please go to sleep. And there's like, no. And I mean, honestly, I have a system now, so I can see everything you're doing, and I'm like, where is she going now?
Yeah.
What's she doing now? And so that side of it alone, I mean, it's the sleep deprivation. And so, then when you're sleep deprived,
you don't respond the same when you haven't had enough rest. So I'll say tip number two, because time is not a factor to them. For my mom, time wasn't a factor, one, because she was blind, and because she ran the same routine every day, and she really wasn't conscious of this is today, tomorrow, and different spaces, then therefore the sleep pattern gets off. And so you have to keep them on your sleep pattern. Other than that, they'll sleep during the day and be up all night. And so you want to make sure that they're getting the adequate number, of hours of rest. And so for my mom, we tried to find natural things that would help her to sleep, opposed to using prescription medicine like Ambien that causes other side effects and different things. So you just want to make sure you got some natural soothing things that will calm them down, or you put them to bed and you talk to them for a little while and say, it is night now. It's time for us to go to sleep. And so we just gonna say a prayer to Jesus and we gonna go to sleep. And so you have to get them in that routine, but sometimes that routine get broken.
Yeah, and see, it's different on this end because, even saying going night, it's like, what is that? What is night? And then you get all the other stuff that comes along with it. But even to go back and even ask about or talk about the sacrifice part of it, there was another piece that I was reading that talks about putting your life on hold. I know you talk about even with Mother coming and you saying that these are going to be the best years of your life. When it came down to it, did you feel like your life was being put on hold with her having to come and stay with you?
Oh, very much so. When I say, but it's amazing. It was 15 years for me. And when you talk about being a caregiver, prior to that, I gave 10 years of caregiving for a gift that God gave to me in the form of my niece. And so for me, I was a caregiver for 25 years. Okay. So for 25 years of my life, I was taking care of someone else. And so in the absence of that, and now that, I have free range to do whatever I want to do, go wherever I want to go, it's like, hold up, what track I was on, what exactly is it that I want to do? And now I'm in that space and in that time where I need to now revamp and say, what is it that you want to do? Because you can do it. There's no holds barred. You can go do whatever you want to do. Taking the sacrifice, and I was blessed to have help. Yeah. My dear cousin, who is my beloved sister, moved in with me to assist me. And so therefore, when she would take the morning and I would take the evening. And so she was up with her in the morning and making sure things was okay. And I had that evening piece that was down. And in the middle of the day, we both would do a check-in, which lifted the load, and it really wasn't so heavy. It wasn't a total sacrifice for me, because what I did, and that's a choice whether or not others choose to do that, I incorporated her in my daily activities. I incorporated her into my life. I incorporated her into my job. So she became a piece of that particular puzzle. If I was out of town, I made accommodations where she was with me, and I would take a break to be able to come and see her. If I was doing a workshop somewhere, she would be on the front row with a sitter, someone that will be with her to where she can see me in the sense of hear me. And know that I'm present, but somebody else would take care of her by taking her to the restroom, but making sure she was okay. And I made sure that I had quite a few sitters, that if I was out of town and she couldn't go, the sitter was there to be able to take care of that and to touch bases with them. So I tried to make it a full swing flow, as though you had a younger child. You adjust your day according to what you could do. And if you needed assistance, you tried to make sure assistance was there.
Okay. And that makes all the difference. Having help,
it does.
Makes a whole lot of difference. I mean, I say it often, just something as simple as running to the store. And see, that's the difference too, even with, the different types of care that we give. Because a little bit different on my end, where I used to be able to just run down the street and go to the store, can't do that anymore. So I gotta have somebody here. Whereas, for you, you could leave home.
I told them that, bring me this.
Yeah. So it makes a difference. So essentially what you're saying is not really a whole lot of on hold on that, in that sense of the word. And so now that the freedom is there, do you find yourself sometimes like, oh, got nobody to care for? Or...
I will say this. It's amazing how you wish for certain things. And I tell people, be careful what you wish for. No, I never wished for my mother not to be here. Yeah. But I've said many times, when this is over and somebody else is taking care of you besides me, I look back on those particular days and I said, it was a blessing. I've learned so much from my mom. I am from a family. I have 6 brothers, 4 biological brothers, 2 god brothers who are well intertwined into my family. and who my mom loved very well. When I would go visit them, the blessed part was their wives were so understanding, and they will allow me a time to, reprieve. The Turners, the Morrises. It was an awesome piece. My younger brother and his wife. Even though it was uncomfortable for my mom because she felt comfortable with me, I had to allow them to be able to do that so that I would get a reprieve. And you need a reprieve, because other than that, you're not going to be nice all the time. When you're tired, frustrated, you can say all the flowery words you want to say, but it does not help that soul and that spirit when you're vexed by the things that they are doing at that particular time. Because some of the hardest times is, when you think about a lady who is blind, diabetic, and has a prosthetic leg, and she's sick, she can't get to the bathroom quick like other folks can. And so there was a lot of times that I had to be Nurse Julie when I did not want to be Nurse Julie.
Say, oh, I remember. We know you do remember, Trish.
Very much so, so yeah.
No, you do remember.
You gotta lean on, and you're blessed if you have siblings who are willing to take a part.
Definitely.
It is a blessing, because sometimes, me being the only girls, the boys was willing, but she wasn't willing to be with the boys. She was just like, no, I'm not going to let him do that. He can't go to the bathroom with me. Oh, yes, he can. He got a wife. He understands.
Right.
He can do this. He going to do this, so that's the piece. And I thank God for my sisters in love. And if you're online, I do appreciate your time, your giving, and what you gave, and for loving Mom just as much as I love her.
Yeah, because it makes a difference.
It makes a big difference.
And that's the part. Last week, Ron Green was going to be on with us, and we had technical difficulty, but we're going to bring him on. He's actually going to come too, and we're going to talk about that, because even as we were talking earlier, even with
you
men,
don't see much men.
You don't see men doing it a lot. And one of the things that I looked at was basically saying how, some men, they just don't like to talk. They're not. Some of them are becoming more emotional creatures now, but for the most part, they're not really emotional, and so they don't really talk about it. But they are out there, and now that we're living in an age where what's going on now is people are living longer, and so you have more older people now, and so they need care. And so we have a whole generation now that's coming in that are caregivers. A lot of our millennials are caregivers, but we're going to touch on the male part of it at a different time. And just, Marcella, even with mother, and this is just a question that I've been asking all of our caregivers that come on, what were some of your most challenging times, even in being a caregiver?
I think for me, one of my most challenging times is the fact that I've always been respectful to my mom, and I've always given her the utmost respect, and it was always yes, yes, yes. But when Mommy moves into my house and I am a full-blown adult, it is not always yes, yes, yes. Mommy, you don't get your way today. Mommy, you're going to have to go to your room and play. Mommy, I've had enough. I'm going to my room. I'm going to need you to go to your room. And while we're there, let's both take a time out. So therefore, you don't talk to me, and I won't talk to you. And so when Danette comes home, she's that equal piece. You can talk to her if you would like to, but I am done. That's why I said you have to know when your cutoff period is there. And I had to make sure that she was engaged in other activities, just as you would have a younger child in a child care facility. Well, she went to some adult facilities. The same way you will feel when you say a difficult time when someone mistreats my mom.
Yeah.
Because I have allowed her to be in your company. There's another side of me that come out. Yes. I get the raw Vera in the Palm Beach real quick. And so that was difficult for me, for my mom to come home and said, so-and-so did not help me walking to the bus when she picked me up. And she knows she's supposed to grab me by the hand. She allowed me to fall twice. I said, who is so-and-so and what's her name? And so there were times that Danette and I wait around the corner because we want so-and-so to come to the house, and we want her to try that again this morning while our cars are parked around the corner. It's that same feeling of frustration. You don't want anybody to abuse them and mistreat them. And you know that in their way of communicating, It's in pure innocence. So for me, those were some of the tough times. Me trying to honor my mom as an adult, being an adult, living in my house, and someone mistreating her. Because I don't care how old you get, that just don't go down right. It really doesn't. And I think one of the humorous things that was a little bit different, because our community was so large, where I would call and say, "Hey mom, what do you want for dinner?" And so she'll tell me what she wants for dinner, and I'll either purchase it or bring it home to cook it. And in the middle of me cooking dinner, 3 other people will come and bring her what she asked for. And I'm going like, hold on, wait a minute. Did you call them and ask them for dinner? But then I'm in here cooking. So it was just, and you would just get that. She had this little grin and smirk that she was doing, like, ain't nothing funny about me being in this kitchen when I don't want to be, but I'm in here to make it well for you. You know, those were some humorous moments, but there were some frustrating moments as well, you know, because they gave her everything she wanted. Shout outs to Miss Carolyn and the watermelon. Yes, you know.
Spoiled. She was
Trenton
spoiled.
and the donuts and the coffee and all of the other things that you snuck to her, you know, those particular things.
And Grandma DK is on here. She said, "I understand and appreciate it to you, Grandma." So we love you too, Grandma.
Love
Thank you for
too,
watching.
Grandma.
Hey, Stephen. Hey, Z. Everybody else that Trent said at the beach. Oh, yes. That was frustrating. We remember the beach.
The beach moment I won't talk much about, because I would tell you this, and do understand this: when older individuals have a relationship with the Lord, you need to understand that they can cash in their ticket anytime they get ready to. And if they ever get in a place where they feel like you don't want them here, honey, they'll tell God it's time for me to leave. Because my mama used to say a woman always know when it's her time to leave. And that time at the beach was so frustrating. I did not understand that my mom was in a fretful place. And she would have said, "Sella, I'm fretful. I'm afraid. I've been experiencing some things that I can't talk about, or I don't quite understand." It would have been different. But I tell you, that day changed my life. Forever. That was on a September. It was the holiday that's in September. And she left that October the 1st. Because she decided this is not going my way. It was the first time I said some unkind words to her. Yes, they were not in the Bible.
Trent, you had to bring it up. But that is absolutely, I know, like, even this week, you know, with the whole 24-hour deal, and I've been joking about it all week, and this is a joke, y'all, don't take me serious, but when you lose sleep like that, and, you know, at one point, I really started thinking, okay, now she know what she doing, even though, because I thought about that movie, Throw Mama from the Train. Because she was just downright, I mean, she was rude. She was rude. I mean, and what she would do would try to wake my grandmother up. And it got to a point where when I wouldn't let her in the room with her, she started calling her name. And I'm like, "Stop calling her, you're going to wake her up. You don't tell me what to do." But the one moment was when she literally stood up, and from the top of her lungs, she started yelling my grandma's name. And I was like, "You have got to be joking. Like, who does this?" And so, you know, those moments like that, and you already minimal sleep. I didn't do anything crazy. I almost broke down and cried, because I was like, this is just not fair. This is not right, you know, because I'm not going to do anything outlandish and crazy. But, yeah, it's a little different. So I'm saying that to say and to help people to realize that no matter what level of care you can give, no matter what the situation is, care is care, and all of these things come along with it. And that's why we're actually highlighting this for this month, because we want those of you who may not be in it, those of you who may not understand it, just to get a feel. And again, this is one of the reasons we're leading up to our Caregivers Retreat. It's going on March 1st and 2nd. And all of these things that we talk about, it's one of the reasons why we want to be able to bring these caregivers together, just to have that moment to just simply breathe. And so we're highlighting this because we want y'all, I believe that, and I'm just saying it for me, when I think about myself, I also often think about other people. If this is what I'm dealing with, then wow, you know, what are other people?
How they survive?
Yeah, exactly.
What are they doing to cope with this? I know some people told me, and by no means did I ever try to make it seem like it was a breeze or it was easy. But I had some friends say, "Oh, Marcella, you made it seem like it was just so easy." And I was going like, y'all just don't know
Grace.
what it really, really takes. And when you say, you know, I don't look like what I've been through, sometimes it's a very, very hard piece. I remember when my mom got, while I was packing that wound, there were nights that wound would be in pain. And so being a daughter who knows the Lord, I would hold her leg all night and pray while she sleep. Now you can't sleep and pray. So she's sleeping, but I'm up, so that the pain would not be there, you know, and for her to wake up and say, oh man, that I appreciate that. But then that cost me something, because I still yet had to get up and go to work. You know, it's like a mother being up all night with a sick child, and you want them to get better and you want to be able to do what you need to do. Didn't try to make it seem like, you know, it was easy, but the disposition of the person made a difference too. My mama wasn't surly and she wasn't mean. She was spoiled, and I used to say many times, Daddy, you did this. I mean, spoiled. And so I didn't compromise her way of living. I just wanted her to have her best life and my best life, to be able to give that. And it's something, being able to give of service. And so that's why I said her life, my life became intertwined. And it just been a part of what we did. And I had a wonderful church support system. Awesome. The men at our church took excellent care of my mom, who happened to be the church mother, and she pulled on every bit of it.
Yeah.
You know, coming into church, she'll have one on the right, one on the left, and she could clearly walk, smiling the whole time. You know, if the muscles weren't strong enough, she said, baby, you ain't strong enough to help me up. Send me somebody else. You know, it was a different piece, but like I said, it was an opportunity to serve. It's an opportunity to give back and to do.
And that's the piece right there, you know. And that's what I said when I think about other people, because I know that it is definitely my faith and my trust in God that helps me to do what I do. And so I imagine people who don't have that same hope, that don't have that same faith, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Or relationships with their parents where you like them. See, I like my mama.
That definitely
I
makes
like my mama. You know, I love my mama. So it was a different piece, and that comes out in the care that you give. This wasn't a diary of a black woman. We weren't trying to get back. We weren't trying to beat them back. But I reminded her many days, Mommy, you're not in your house. Mommy, this is my house. And in my house, I can leave the dishes in the sink if I want to. I didn't raise you that way. You didn't.
Okay, it's still my house.
But it's still my house. Yes.
Yeah, and that's what I consider all the time. I tell people that when I consider where I am right now, did I see this, you know, years ago? This never.
I never imagined.
Never imagined that this would be my life at 44. But because I'm here, the thing that I keep in the forefront, even with my grandmother being here, these are the women who raised me. I don't know every last one of them, but I know the sacrifices that my mom made. I know the sacrifices that, because I was right there, you know, seeing some of it. And so it was easy for me to say, you know, okay, because, you know, we look at it, we see the sacrifices sometimes, but, and I can't say that people that don't do it are just selfish or whatever. Some people don't have they just don't have the grace for it. You know,
now, Priscilla, I can agree. Some people may not have the grace for it, because my brothers used to say, sis, we cannot do what you do. I said, you can. Some days I don't think I can do what I do.
That's true.
But I don't have a choice or an option, because you place me in a predicament. Because I love her, I'm going to make sure that she's cared for. And it's the same thing. If she is with you and she needs to be cleaned, I'm quite sure you're going to clean it, because you're not going to let your mama go around. You're not going to let her sit there until I come.
We hope.
You know, so, yeah.
I just, you know, I know I have one of my brothers, he has never, like, hospitals, nursing home, and I feel the same way. Like, listen, if you come, just do it. Come do it.
Come do it.
It's simple. You know, it may not be as simple for some, but I'm like, some people just, they don't. They just, oh, that ain't what I'm gonna do. And I'll talk about that a whole other time. I won't even get over into that. But Victoria, thank you so much. I'm trying to talk and read comments. So thank you for your comments. We appreciate. She said that's just who you are, Marcella. You just you do what you do. But that's the whole essence of it. And I've coined it now to say that caregiving is simply, it's love wrapped in a matter of choice. You choose to do it. It's something that you it's a choice every day. You know, I could be, especially with mine, because a lot of times people think that when people have Alzheimer's and dementia, well, I don't have to call or I don't have to come because they're not going to remember anyway. Mm-hmm. Well, how are they going to remember you if you don't show up?
Right.
You know, how are they going to remember? And I'm like, exactly. If I take that same attitude, I mean, right now I'm her niece. I'm not even a daughter.
That's who I am right now.
I'm a niece, you know, and so I'm the greatest niece there is, but I'm a niece. I'm not a daughter. See. And so, you know, you can't take that attitude and say, well, I'm not going to come because they're not going to remember. Mm-hmm. So, even with that, we talked about the challenges. So, mm-hmm. What were the greatest things that you took away from it? You know, what were the your greatest, most rewarding times in caring for mother? You talked about some.
I learned so much from my mom, who was blind, and taught me how to see beyond what my eyes saw, and to be able to listen, and to be able to hear, and listen to what the Spirit is saying about the person and the environment. You know, we went places, and she said, "Stella, this is not good." And I said, "Mom, what?" She said, "Honey, this is not good. Let's go. Let's go where we pay rent." I say, "Well, we pay rent somewhere, Mommy?" You know, some things just became hilarious in some areas, but I learned that particular piece. I also learned that you have to plan your breaks and plan your time and allow people to bless you. It was very, very hard at first, almost like an overprotective mother being an overprotective child, because I didn't want somebody to misread, mishandle, or misunderstand my mom, because her lip was real flip and she said the first thing that came to her mind. But I took away so much from her. And I think one of the most valuable lessons is what I said earlier. When people have a relationship with the Lord, you better understand that they choose when they want to leave here and how they're going to leave. The scripture says, you know, he who lives by the sword, die by the sword. Uh-huh. But when you live a wholesome and godly life, it's a choice. And my mama choose to leave here. You know, she said, a lady always know when to leave. And I think I've outdone my welcome. She said, when it come to a place that, she said, for all these years, you have never said an unkind word. And she told my brother, she said, your sister cussed me out today. Mm-hmm. It's about time for me to leave. So when we go back to that beach day that we talk about, I kind of regret that particular day and the words that came out of my mouth. But you do have to understand that God graced us for what he has established for us. Yeah. And even though my mom had 6 sons and 1 daughter, he did grace me for that particular moment. He graced me to go through that. And y'all, each time you saw her, I had a shop.
Sure did.
Shop.
Never a moment.
So one of the things I totally enjoyed was shopping for her and dressing her, and matching her. I enjoyed that particular piece. Is just seeing her look like a little state mother sitting over there in the corner, with a nice little hat on to match the suit. It was a wonderful piece. It was a joy for me and a privilege. So I took so much away from that. How she handled men, how she manipulated them, yes. But how she spoke to them, how she encouraged them, how she was able to get them to do things that she needed for them to do. She did it in such a graceful way. I wish I could have recorded her for some new women to be able to see today, to understand how you get them to do what it is that you want them to do. She said, Sally, you just don't talk to them like that. You don't do that. No ma'am. That's not what we do. So I learned a lot.
Yeah, Trent said he gave me a second mom all over again.
He really, really did. And, you know, I mean, I think the wisdom that I get even in this place, I mean, for me, my grandmother, she's sitting over there, she's quiet tonight, she's letting us do our thing, but there are some moments when she'll just get into praying, you know, and I'm like, those moments for me,
Priscilla,
were like,
now you talk about the praying moments. If it's in you, it'll come out you. My mom prayed every morning at 5:00 in the morning. Y'all, I wake up at 5. I don't pray as long as my mama. I can't say I pray as long as my mama, but it didn't matter. The whole house, you would hear her prayer. You would know what she was telling God about concerning you, because she was. If the theme that morning was joy, she was going to sing all the songs that had joy in them. Then she gonna quote all the scriptures that had joy in it, and then she was going to pray her prayer. God, let my daughter have some joy. Let her have the joy of experiencing what a husband is like. Don't let her be single all her life. You're going to hear exactly what she's praying and how she would pray it. So
those are priceless.
Those priceless moments. Priceless moments.
I record them. Y'all know I come live sometimes.
I should have recorded her prayer.
What? I mean, I go live. I got the song though. God has smiled on me. I got that one. That's always going to remain. Because she taught me the verse. Priscilla, you don't know the verse? And she sung the verse for me. But those are like moments. That's why I started with the mama moments, because my mom has always been hilarious. You just kind of never know what's going to come out of her mouth.
Wow.
And sometimes you just shocked, like, okay. And most of the time it's just straight up hilarious because, you know, and that's been all of my life. So now in this particular stage of her life, it's even more comical. And so I started recording those. I started putting them on Facebook, and now they're on my website. I haven't added to it. I'm going to add to it probably later this week. But all of those moments, and my thing is I'm collecting them for me, for other people, for my children, you know, grandchildren, because these are the things that Grandma said, and they are funny. And I'm going to publish them. Put them in a little book to help other people.
I'll give you some extra ones too.
Put them in a book to help other people,
mama
because
said.
that's it. And that's what my website says. Things Mama say. Because
things Mama say.
Man, Miss Vera, I tell people.
What are some of the things Miss Vera said?
Oh, girl. Let me see. What was that? What she told me? It's so many of them on there. I mean, just choose one. I mean, you never know. Depending on what you're doing at that particular moment. Jesus come up all the time, no matter what you're doing. Well, what the Lord think about that? And I said, well, what he think about? You still say, yeah, I'm saved. I told her the other day, I said, raise your hands, because you didn't do that right. Raise your hands and tell the Lord you sorry. So she stood in the middle of the floor like that. But you don't know what she's going to come out with. You just like, well, where'd you get that from?
My mama used to say things like she said, Sella, be careful. Some people piss on your feet and call it rain, baby. Well, you got to know the difference. And don't let them people do you like a showman do a monkey. I said, well, Mama, how does a showman do a monkey? Honey, the showman get the money and the monkey just get the peanuts. That's not what we all about. I said, okay. Yes.
Yeah, Mother had the sayings.
She had some
for
good
life. You know, my mama just say so. Mother had those sayings that make you go.
And if somebody was talking too long and it didn't seem like they was telling the truth, my mama would, in the middle of what they were saying, say, I
think that was my favorite one. Sometimes I just sit here in my house missing Mama T, because that's what I call like, That is it in a nutshell. And so, you know, again, this is what we're doing tonight. You know, if y'all have any questions, Trent say help the church. Help the church.
Yes. Help them along the way. This is real.
And
this is real ministry. You know, you're going out there this is real ministry. Real ministry really begins at home. And I'll tell you, it'll pull on everything. It'll let you know whether or not you got a Holy Ghost. And sometimes I didn't do things right. And because she was a church mother, I had to call my pastor and say, look, you might not need to call me tonight. Me and Mother wasn't getting along today, and it didn't go down the way that I wanted to be. You know, I'll be the first one at the altar.
Yeah.
This is real ministry.
They will test your Holy Ghost.
Oh my, test your Holy Ghost. And you can't go half empty. You got to be full. Full of the Holy Ghost.
And then I like it when I leave to go to church, because I haven't taken them in a little while, because sometimes they just don't want to go. Other times it's challenging.
They don't want to go.
Challenging to
get them dressed.
Yeah.
And get them
that
to
one of
go.
mine,
yes.
Anyway, it's challenging. And so I'll leave and I'll tell them I'll go to church. And my grandma always said, well, tell the Lord about me when you go.
Yes.
tell him about me when you go. Or putting her in the bed at night, and she said, well, I'm going to get in here and then I'm going to talk to the Lord. And I tell her, well, tell him about me when you talk to her. All of those moments right there are well worth it. You know, it's those moments that you step back and you say, you know what, and things that you don't think that you have the strength for, you realize that you really do. You know, you have the strength for all of it. And, you know, no matter how, and I stopped saying bad. You know, I don't have bad days. I have challenging days. because they're not bad. They're just that even with the other night, I stopped saying it was bad. I was like, that was it was different, for
a
me.
A little different.
Yeah, and that's how I put it.
I had some challenging days. I did. I had some challenging days, challenging conversations, and different things of that matter, and going to doctor's appointments with them and making sure the doctor was doing everything correctly. It was some challenging times and some challenging days, but I don't regret what God has given me and empowered me to do in that particular moment.
Yeah. And I think for me sometimes, because that was a hard place for me even the other night, and just being able to watch it, I mean, you have them here and you know that they're different, because my mom was very, and I do mean very, everybody that knows her knows, very independent, always together. I mean, my mom was the one who, I haven't gotten there. I'm got a lot of her traits, but I haven't gotten here. But she would literally, and that's because she was a seamstress, but iron all of her clothes and hang them up. And I'm like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. But she would wash them. They go in the dryer, and she would literally, and she had all her stuff color coded. I tried that periodically, and it just...
That's a little OCD. That's
yeah. Then see, I told you had it more than me.
I doubt that.
I know yeah, Marcella has it more than I do. We've been battling over this for a few years, but I haven't gotten there. I try, I go through. Now, I will go back and straighten it, but that's the type of stuff she did. I mean, people bothered me about belts. We had a belt in every color, and we had to wear them. Like, my mom always believed if your clothes have belt loops, you should have on the belt. And so she bought them in every single color that they sold, and we had to wear them. And so that was who she is. And so it's like now, this week and last week, it's been 2 different shoes. And that's my funny for this week.
2 different shoes?
I asked her this week because she had on 2 different shoes. So I said, Miss Bear, why you got on 2 different shoes? And she said, well, I got 2 shoes, and I just didn't want to wear one without wearing the other one, so I put on both of them. And I was like, well, that's a great explanation for why you did it. And so you're watching this, and they can tell with the dementia, they can tell that something is wrong. They just can't pinpoint what it is that's wrong. And so when you're in it, and you have to actually watch them, in this stage where you can't, and I'm used to helping people. That's just who I am. When you realize, besides praying, there's nothing I could do. That's an emotional side that, it's like nothing else that you or that I have experienced, and it can pull at you if you let it. And so
you have to make, Priscilla talks about the teachable moments and making moments ministry. Y'all, you got to put some humor in it somewhere. You can't look at it from a dry place, because you can lose your mind in this, because the mind will play some tremendous tricks on you. So you have to find humor in what it is that you do. You got to be able to lighten the load and be able to laugh about some things. You really, really do.
You do, because if you don't,
some people may say it's sick humor. Yeah, but they do some funny stuff that you just have to just laugh at.
Because I know in the beginning, when I would say different things, like, I'm always playing with her, and I do that because that's my coping mechanism. What I'm realizing though is now I have to stop calling her Miss Vera, because with me calling her Miss Vera, she doesn't equate me to being her child. She's like, that person calling me Miss Vera. And so now I'm starting to stop and say mama, because then she'll put it. But Stephen had a question. He says, Doc, did Mother Torres ever forget things? That's kind of where he is with his grandmother, and she's also blind.
Well, with my mom, it's a good question, Stephen. Dementia shows up in a different place. My mom knew she was blind. And so what began to happen with her was not in an area of forgetting things, but not knowing if she was asleep or awake, simply because she would see people from the past having a conversation in front of her, and she's present, and she's going like, first of all, I know I can't see, So she would blink her eyes a little bit to let her mind know I'm awake. There are many times, she would call my name and I would come into the room and she said, Stella, get me dressed. We're late for the wedding. And I said, Mama, we don't have a wedding. She said, baby, the wedding started in about 15 minutes and you're going to need about 10 minutes to drive. Go ahead and get me dressed. And I did not argue with my mom. No point intent to argue. I got her dressed. And she laid back down and she woke back up. She said, baby, I'm so sorry. Please get these clothes off of me. I didn't know how to even tell you I was dreaming. And I was going like, that becomes a bit of a frustrating moment, but we were able to deal with that. She didn't really forget things. Mama had a sharp memory, but she had numbers in her mind can tell you a phone number better than I can. And so if she placed something somewhere, she kind of knew where she placed it. It was a little bit different because of the sight process was changing. She knew something was happening and she was just going like, no, this seemed like this going to mess with my independence. It's about time for me to leave. So it was a little different. But one of the key things is don't argue with them.
Yeah.
Because perception is reality and that is their world. And so you're entering into their world. Don't try to tell them what's in their world is not real. Because that's just like speaking to a stone wall. Just accept it.
Yeah. And that's something that I am still working on, especially in this, because like I get the daily, I got to go home. And so then you say, you are home. And it's like, no, I'm not home. Why are you playing with me? And so after a while, I just say, okay. Or if it's time to go to bed, I'll say, well, why don't you go to bed and we'll get up in the morning and we'll
talk
leave
about
or whatever, because really there's no point, because for them, especially with dementia, you start arguing, it's going to heighten where they are.
Right.
And you'll find that you'll find yourself in a fight,
And they get fretful. And when you're fretful, you're defensive.
Yeah.
And you generally, don't want that. Some things don't make sense. Stephanie, my mom used to love to wear hats. And if I put a hat on her that came past her eyes, she would say, I can't wear this. And I was going like, why? She said, because I can't see. You blind. Doesn't matter. I can put a hat on you that look any kind of way. But to her, it did. It's covering up my eyes. Are you for real, Mommy? Yes. And so we just stopped buying those kind of hats. Let's not make that, a force to be reckoned with. And sometimes she'll say, so is there a little girl sitting in my room over in the corner? And I look over and I said, no, Mommy, nobody's there. She said, oh, okay, let me just blink my eyes a couple of times. But we didn't argue about where she was or why she felt the way she felt. I don't want to go today. I don't want to do that today. And, just I go with the flow. Then what are we going to do today? And what would you like me to do today? Would you like me to stay home today? Yes, I would appreciate it if you're right here with me. And I may say, let me make some adjustments. But we're not going to do this tomorrow. This is today. Let's deal with today. So sometimes you just have to do what you need to do.
Yeah. It's an adjustment, and you learn that as you go along, because they'll do that. My mom comes out, especially this week. I don't know, usually we look at the moon, and it's so funny because Kayla now keeps the whole thing on her phone. So she'll ask me, Mommy, let me check my phone and see if the moon is full. Because believe it or not, it has a lot to do with it. The height is,
Yes.
And so my baby, she'll pull out her phone and she's like, well, it's not the moon. There's no full moon. And she'll give me the date. We're literally at that place. But, she'll come out, clothes in tow, asking for trash bags. Can I have a bag, put my clothes in? I go in periodically and clean her room because that's what she does all day. It's like packing clothes, shoes. You have to look for shoes. So no need to say no. The most I'm going to say is you're already home. And then when that starts escalating to no, I'm not, I just, okay, no problem. No. And so then, it becomes her saying, my grandma said something that I know she didn't say. Like tonight, she came in the kitchen, I don't know how many times. My grandma wanted something to put on her head. No, she doesn't. Well, come on in here and ask her. I don't have to. I know she didn't say it. Just come on. So you do it because it's not going to change.
Grandma, you want some on your head?
Right.
No. See, Mama, she fine.
Usually my grandma looking at her like this. look at this look. and Kaylin and I are usually just laughing when we see her because or she'll just look at me and do like this. Or she'll say, now she done started saying, something wrong with her mind. Something wrong. And you're looking at both of them. Stephen says, yes, I understand the process because I have to work with that because I also work in town at a living facility with patients. But the day she told me she was going to cook on the stove. And I was like, how? Forgetting that she used to doing it herself, so I can relate. Yep, the full moon, it is. And see, for me, Stephen, I cut the breaker off. I have to.
Yeah, because they'll be in the kitchen cooking a meal.
Some people take the knobs off. I don't think I really thought about that because the breaker is in my room, so I cut it off. I cook, and then I cut the breaker back off. Every now and then, I may forget to cut the breaker off, and I'll be laying in the bed 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot to cut the break off. So I jump up because she may get up in the middle of the night and decide
I'm gonna cook my daughter a meal.
Yeah, she will. And I'm like, And so you do whatever you have to do on that end. Make sure that the stove is not working, stuff that, can be plugged up and used. Don't leave that stuff out.
And we made it very comfortable in my mom's space. She had a microwave.
And
she had a refrigerator, and she had a water dispenser. So she didn't have to go very far to get some of the things that she needed. And she became accustomed that, we would fix her breakfast, put her lunch on the table, so she'll come there to eat her lunch. And if she took anything back to her room, she knew how to heat it up and warm it up if she needed it warm. And then dinner was whatever was to her choosing, her liking. So that was a piece. Now, I think about me cooking breakfast every morning for her for 15 years and not partaking of it. We never sat down and had breakfast together, because I really didn't like breakfast that early in the morning. But she would have a cup of coffee with my sister, and she would then go to the room and commence calling all of her sisters, calling her siblings one by one, and discussing the day. And if she had appointments, it was just giving them a scheduled routine was wonderful. They have to be routined. It has to be routine.
And that works.
Doesn't work too well on my end for my situation, but we make it work. So they're actually going to start going to the respite care at Bethel on Friday. So we're going to try and incorporate that in there and make sure that works. But you do what you have to do on that end. But the important thing is making sure that they're comfortable, making sure that you're doing your part to make sure that, they can live the best life that they can live while they're, because to me, I just think that that's owed to them when you do that.
Carmen.
Hey, Carmen. Thank you so much.
Girlie.
I have to keep my iPad and look at my iPad because I can't see over there right now.
Hey, Dr. Harris.
Marcella can see it. Hey, Carmen, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And y'all we have a few more minutes. Y'all share it. When we get off, share it again. One last thing, Marcella.
Yeah. Before
we go off. For those that may be in your situation now, you're not there anymore, but for those who may be caregivers, no matter what type of care they're providing, no matter what situation their loved one is in, what advice would you give them where they are, besides everything that you've already said, but what type of advice would you leave for other caregivers in that situation?
I would say don't overprocess the moment. Take the moment, live in the moment. Make provisions. Make sure that you're setting up a support system. Please don't think that you can go in it alone and handle it alone. And you might be that superwoman and that superman. But it is nice to have someone to talk to, someone to bounce some things off of. And when the moment allows for someone to give you reprieve or give you respite, take it. It's a joy to be able to care for your mother or your father, especially for those who've had great relationships. I understand it is very difficult for someone to take care of someone who was not nice to them. But we pray that the Lord will heal all of those wounds and area. we're in a time in a daycare, it never was an option or a thought in my mind, because my mom worked in a nursing home, to ever put her there. But I did make that decision. If it ever came to a place where she didn't know who I was and she became violent and I could not keep her safe or keep myself safe, then I would need to look at some other means. And thank God that never occurred in our situation. So I say you just have to look at it. For me, it was easy incorporating her into what I do, almost like a new baby in the house. You just start doing new routines based on the company that you have to accommodate and what you have to do. So my routines change to accommodate my mom. And so you do that step by step and just, little by little. And you'll see how things go and what you need. And, now you can read up and explore what's in your city and surrounding areas. There were so many places that my mom could go. And Dollar Ride was the best, because they came and picked her up at the door, $2 one way, $2 back the next way, and would take her wherever she needed to go. So it became a great piece. Utilize the services, in every area you can dial what we call 211 for information. Not 411, 211. And it'll tell you about caregivers, services, and different things extended to those that are blind, those who are suffering from different things. It'll let you know who's doing what services were free. It was amazing what I was able to get even in the phone service. So you got to do your research and your homework. Sprint gave us phones where whoever called, their name was called out. We didn't get charged for using 411 because she was blind. All she had to do was just pick up the phone and ask for the number, and then it would dial the number because of her quote unquote disability. So find out what's happening in your surrounding area. Utilize those services.
And it will make a difference. And
a total difference.
If you have any questions, if you need any of this information, contact us. Marcella has information I don't have, and vice versa. But by all means, contact us. There are different, as she said, through elder care services, there are things that you can get that
Meals on Wheels. They'll send them meals.
And you may not be able to afford the caregiver services. They have, of course, there's certain steps with it, but they'll provide care for you in some of these instances. So by all means, research it, get the information, contact me. I'll give you as much as I can give you, but Google is your friend. It really is. I tell people that for almost everything. Google it, and you will find, information regarding whatever your situation may be. It's out there. I promise you. I've done so much research, and my whole goal, even with this, is to educate. My cousin, and I haven't responded back to all the people that posted on my post from the other day, but my cousin, I'm going to have her on here hopefully in the next couple of weeks as well, because for us, unfortunately, it seems to be something that's genetic for our family. And so she too cares about her mom. And so because of that, education is important.
It is.
Learning about it, learn about disease, and it's not to make you fretful, but I think you should research and know so that you know what you're faced with. So how can I slow this down? How can I? But that is the goal at this point, is to educate as many people as we can, and in the process of educating, also be able to highlight, because I think Marcella, like I said in the beginning, Marcella showed me. I think she was the first one that I knew of on that level, and I watched that. I was there some of the times to see what she was doing, really. And it came easy. And so, that example helped me, just watching her, the patience, all of that she exhibited. And it takes all of that. So, as I always say in all of these lives, my goal, even with this Facebook Live, is to build a community of support for those that are on the same journey that we're on. I might not be strong today, you might be. I may be strong tomorrow, you may not be. But if we put our strengths together, we can both be strong. We can all be strong together. And that's what this is all about. So thank you all so very, very much. Thank you, Marcella, for taking the time to come over. And thank you all, every comment, every person who was on. Again, I ask that you would share this. Share it with somebody who you know may be a caregiver, so they can go back and look at the live. It will also be uploaded to our YouTube page, which is hashtag My Favorite Girls.
Right.
So it'll be on YouTube. We'll share that as well. If you yourself are a caregiver, you want to tell your story, you want to come on, hit me up, inbox, comment, whatever. We'll be glad to talk with you. But do plan March 2nd, 1st and 2nd, Caregivers Retreat right here, Tallahassee, Florida. It's going to be held at Life Changers. It is held by My Favorite Girls, but that's where we're going to use the location. And so it's going to be a 2-day retreat for the caregivers to just come in, relax. We're going to have a live band. We'll have some food, some other things going on, just for you to be able to come in and just breathe. If you would like to help with that, if you want to be a sponsor, hit me up on the comments. You can go to my webpage, which is Priscilla J. Jean-Louis. That's Priscilla JEAN-LOUIS.com. The registration is on there. Let me know. Definitely, we're taking all sponsors because we want to come in and just help. We also have a special session for our children. We have some children who are caregivers. I know I have a 13-year-old that's here. She's not a primary, but she helps me. And that's just her nature. She likes to help, but our children sometimes don't get that same attention, that same knowledge. Right. And so we want to take that opportunity to bring our children in, bring the youth in, and for them it's just a support group, just so that they too can let each other know that, hey, we're not in this alone. You got somebody else that you can connect with, that you can talk to, and you're able to share your emotions with, because sometimes as adults, we don't understand some of the emotions that we go through. So can you imagine for the children who too provide care? And believe it or not, you all, there are a lot of children from the ages of 8 on up who care for their parents. They're cooking, they're doing laundry, they're making sure meals are prepared, all of that. And so we want to get these youth in, and we want to, rally around them and give them that strength and that support too. So thank you all again.
Thank you, Priscilla.
Thank you so much. And we will see you again. I'll let y'all know before Thursday who our guests will be on next week. If it's you and you want to be on there, contact me. We'll get you on. All right. We love you. Have a great evening.
Good night.